Hey guys, welcome back to Overtakes. This is Misfit.
And I'm Kel.
And we are giving you the first of our playoff previews for the Overwatch League.
We are back from our little hiatus. Misfit is back in town from being on vacation. And sorry about the lack of videos and uploads since then. I hit some snafus trying to record on my own and just wasn't able to get it all together.
And I was shooting arrows in Castle Winterfell, so I was no help to him at all. Had a great trip. We had a great break. Everybody needed a break from this.
Right.
So,
we're back and ready to do this.
Yep, and we got a hamster and a fucking giant mech in between, which is awesome.
I'm super excited about it.
Love it. Anyway, let's talk about the playoffs, so let's get in. We're going to talk about the maps first. We're just going to give you a rundown of the maps. You guys all know what the maps are.
Yeah, the lotteries. I mean, there's been countless other videos from everybody else, so we're just going to go down the list, basically. And
you know the logic of how to play these maps and stuff. It's just we want to get it out there before we start talking teams,
right,
and other things. So, all right, so they had the draft lottery for the maps. Escort, we got Junkertown and Dorado. I'm not a big fan of Junkertown. I love Dorado, though. I love watching these guys play Dorado.
Dorado is super fun to watch. I'm not the biggest Junkertown fan either, but it has produced some incredible moments. And then the last part of Junkertown is always really fun to watch. I think it's definitely created some of the most tense moments. So, overall, I can put aside my hatred for this map to watch these guys play it, because for the most part it's pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, and Dorado's just watching these guys play Dorado is incredible.
For sure.
This has provided also same thing, a lot of just tense. It always seems to be like the clincher for like a playoff scenario or something like that, and it's always just gets really tense, which is awesome.
So so moving on to 2 control point, we have Hanamura and Volskaya, my 2 least favorite maps to play. And honestly, 2 of my least favorite to watch.
Yeah.
But at the same point, it is what it is. I hate this control map or this map type anyway. I think
most people can agree with that.
Yeah. It would have been really nice to see like Horizon or Anubis, because I love those ones. Those are probably my favorites of it. But I understand why Horizon's not in it, especially because of the reworks and all of that. They didn't want to introduce basically a brand new version of a map they've been playing. And then I guess I get it for Anubis too, because
that's a back and forth crazy map,
right?
Which is fun to watch, but when you're trying to do a broadcast and you're trying to do a playoffs, you don't want a 7-8 scenario,
right?
Well, a couple of those ones, what was 6-5, 7-6, a couple of them. You want to kind of just to get decided. And
it's almost always like a first point capture.
Yeah,
and then you're just holding the second point for 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Even with these guys, it just gets ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, these 2 CP maps, I mean, they're original maps in the game. They're whatever. I detest Hanamura.
Yeah.
I like watching these guys play it, though. I do have to say that. I hate playing it myself, but seeing what these guys come up with going through there, and now with the patch where we have Hanzo in there, going to see a lot of that going on, but...
Oh, expect to see a lot of double sniper.
Yep.
So then moving on to hybrid, we have basically both of our 2 favorite maps.
Yes.
Eichenwald and Kings Row.
Freaking love both of them.
2 of the best maps in this game, period. And
and we haven't seen Eichenwald since stage 1.
Yeah, so that's what I'm super stoked to get Eichenwald back. It was so fun to watch in the first stage, and having it back for the playoffs is going to be amazing.
Yeah,
I love this map. I love watching these guys play this map, and it really makes it interesting because we haven't seen it so long, and some of these teams have changed so much since the first stage. I think that's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, and then we have additions of Brigitte and meta changes, and you're not diving as much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to bring up some interesting play. Kings Row is always a favorite because it's essentially 3 different games.
Right.
in one game. It's awesome. It's especially you get to see fantastic Reinhardt play in this, and all the other kind of heavy tank modes. I kind of like watching that on there.
Even though everyone is always like, all it is just you get the Zarya Hanzo alt combo. That's all it is, and that's all this meta is.
Yeah.
I don't even care. That these guys are so good, and like their level of play is above anything else we see.
Yeah.
That I'm fine with that. If they can pull off a 5-kill, then so be
exactly.
it.
and honestly, it's not the playoff teams that are doing the grab Dragon Strike as much. It's the teams that have like literally that are not as good, and they have a good Zarya player, and they have someone that can play Hanzo at a decent level, and they just ram that. In the stage playoffs and stuff, we saw just massive earth shatters and stuff like that. You weren't seeing as much of the grab Dragon Strike thing, so I think it's skill level.
Yeah, for sure. Right. If you have the skill level to not do that and still do it effectively, I feel like they just choose to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's just more fun for them to play it.
Yeah, exactly. Now on to the King of the Hill maps. Sorry, London Spitfire.
Yeah.
Oasis is in there, which Oasis is, honestly, this is one of the better competitive maps that they have in Overwatch League. It's fun to watch. I don't like necessarily playing it as much, but since I've been watching it, you learn a lot, and I kind of like it more now.
Yeah.
And then Li Jiang is always great to watch.
Yes.
I love watching Li Jiang, and that's going to be fun. And then the potential tiebreaker map, which is what we have left, is Nepal.
Yeah, so...
Which is a good tiebreaker map if you need it.
Right, and I feel like that's going to be... We might see Nepal, like, once or twice throughout the entire string of the playoffs. The likelihood of there being a tiebreaker, I feel like, or like a necessary tiebreaker, is pretty low.
Yeah.
But it still seems possible.
Happen. I mean, you got to have it there.
You're gonna definitely have some ties on Hanamura, Volskaya, and possibly even Eichenwalder, King's Row. But it seems pretty likely that we'll see it at least once or twice, but it's definitely not going to show up often.
And honestly, it's the best map available for that.
Yes.
As we've seen when they've run it. Other than that and Li Jiang were the two best, I think, overtime maps that they had.
Right.
I wasn't a big fan of Oasis as an overtime map because you can just kind of steamroll through that real easy. The other two are a lot harder.
And same with, I am a little bit bummed that we're not going to get any Ilios.
Yeah, Ilios, I like Ilios too, but
I would have liked, I would have wanted Ilios as like a regular play one, definitely not as the tiebreaker, but that would have been really fun, especially to see, because I always love watching New York on Ilios.
Yeah.
It's just
watching Pine.
Yes.
Pine and Jonak seem to go off on that one, just
they do.
Insane, just fucking crazy. So, all right, that's the maps, guys. Now we'll talk about the format, which is very interesting too.
Yeah.
And it's going to make for a lot of strategy and a lot of different things that we haven't seen yet. Because we're just used to one and done kind of scenarios.
Right.
So this is where it gets interesting.
So it's going to be 2 best-of-5 matches with a possible third to determine. So the way it's going to go is day 1 it's going to be London. It's going to be Philly, Boston, and then London Gladiators. Then the next day will be. It's going to be Friday. So Wednesday is going to start it. Then Thursday will be off. Then Friday will be Philly and Boston again. And then if they need to go to a third game, then that game will be played immediately after that. A third match. And then Saturday, the same thing, but with London and LA. So every single day, there's a guarantee that there's going to be a game. There's going to be stuff to show up. There's no guarantee that it's going to be a third game played. But I like the way that they're doing that in that there's always
I like it too.
There's a guaranteed game to be played that day.
And I also like that they give a 1 day gap in between. At least. And if you're lucky enough to get the Saturday game, you get two days to regroup.
Right.
Because you can't just go nerves and everything, first game you come out, you didn't do what you wanted to do. You at least have a full day to prepare for the next setup.
Right.
And this is a good way to run this because
I love it. And it adds so much more strategy to everything. If you find something that just doesn't work, then you find something that works and it's a little too late for that match, it's not completely over yet. And you can go in with a completely new approach on the next games and really pick apart what the other team is doing. And
exactly.
There's some really exciting potential for this.
And also for you guys that are going to the matches too, you have at least a guaranteed match every day.
Yes.
So it works out for that too, which is a smart thing to do because I mean they could have run it on Friday. They do all 4 teams play again, and then potentially on Saturday you have the tiebreakers. But I like the way they did it this way better.
No, I definitely like this approach. It makes it more so you know that the best team won.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, well, they just had a string of really good games right in a row.
Right, or they got lucky or whatever, you know.
It's going to be, the adjustments are going to be absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
To how they're going to win and make it work.
Yeah, and we'll get into our thoughts on the matchups and all that. Like we told you guys who was playing, you probably know by now. We'll get into our predictions and all that stuff a little later on in the week. But we just want to give you like an overview. So next, we're going to do, on this episode, we're going to do 3 teams on this episode. We're just going to go over them. And then on the next episode, we're going to do the same thing with the other 3 teams that are in the playoffs. And then later on, we'll get into the matches and how we think things are going to shake down and, where things are going to go from there.
Yeah.
So we're going to hit it now. We're going to start with the New York Excelsior. And we're going to talk about them for a minute.
All right. So, I mean, how much more can we say about New York in general? They've proven themselves as the best team in the league up to this point.
Yeah.
And for good reason. They have probably the strongest roster in the entire league, hands down. And then on top of that, they have... It's just an absurd amount of skill on this team. Fuck, they've got, what? 5-6 All-Stars as their starting lineup.
Well, we'll save the All-Star game battling that you guys fucking did for later, because I have some problems with the Pacific Division. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Stop watching what fucking baseball people do. That's all I gotta say. You fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Anyway, but no, New York. Now, the one thing I looked up some stuff. Of course, I mean, their map win rates are way higher than everybody else's.
Right.
But there's, like, no maps really in the whole pool that they're not good on, except for Eichenwald. But that was, like, in the first stage.
Right.
When you didn't really know what was happening.
I think but to be fair, they had, like, what, a 40% win rate on Eichenwald? It was sub 50%.
Yeah, it was
for
bad.
Eichenwald. It was not good.
But
I think they only played it like 3 times.
3 or 4 times. They didn't play it a lot. But still, it's just incredible. Like their map win rates.
Every other one was like 80%.
Yeah. I mean, they have. I think they had one that was like 60.
Of the ones that are going to be played, I think there was the only other one that was lower. I can't remember exactly which one it is, but there was one that was like 60%. Everything else was about 80 to 90, and then Eichenwald is like 40.
Yeah. And the thing is with what they did in Stage 4, do you really put any of the maps
exactly
into that? Because Gibraltar was on there, and half the time they were fucking around.
Right.
Running Jonak on Tracer and whatever else they were doing.
Right.
But obviously, everything leans, towards in their favor. Skill.
Even the matchups, the potential matchups of who they could end up playing, because they have the number 1 seed, they're going to be playing the lower seeded teams,
which
whoever comes out, and it could be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you have a scenario where maybe you play the lowest seed you're going to play is going to be the Gladiators. That could be an interesting matchup in the second round.
It could. It definitely
but
could.
if Philadelphia pulls off and beats Boston, and New York is better equipped to beat them than they are the Gladiators at this point. I mean, this is potential matchup stuff, but I mean, obviously going in, they're the number 1 seed. Now,
I think they are definitely the favorite to win it all, and definitely to get to the grand finals. I would be absolutely shocked if New York doesn't make it to the grand finals.
I would be absolutely shocked as well.
I was making bets, that would be the surest bet that I would have. Is New York at least going to the grand finals? Maybe not necessarily winning it all. That could potentially be a little bit of a riskier bet, but not really. But at the same point, like them making it to the finals, they got to get through one other team. So they don't even have to play the first round.
Exactly.
So that right there, they just got to beat one team, and it'll most likely be.
I would say,
I don't even know, honestly. Maybe Philly?
Philly, or you have Boston. Boston, they wouldn't play Boston.
I feel like they'll probably end up playing Philly.
Yeah.
But we'll get more into that
later.
But yeah, I think New York definitely has the best chance to win everything over anybody else.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about a team that we don't know what the fuck is going to happen.
Right.
The Boston Uprising.
Yeah.
Now, they kind of righted the ship a little bit towards the end of that stage, stage 4. They obviously are missing that player that, is gone. The meta screwed them up a lot.
Pedo Casper.
Yeah, Pedo Casper, exactly. But the thing is there were improvements, stuff that you were seeing later on with Striker and mistakes where they were, picking up heroes. They were starting to play better at doing different things.
Right.
So if that,
if they can carry that over, then they're good. But because now you're going to get the Hanzo changes, are they going to be able to adjust fast enough? And that I feel like is going to be absolutely critical to any team that's going to go far in these playoffs, is the ability to adjust. And Boston, up until this point, has just been horrible at that.
Yeah, and now they've had a month to screw around with this. I mean, obviously they probably did what we did, took a couple weeks off, or a week off or whatever, and, did just rested and then, got back into the thing. If they didn't do any work on, with Hanzo and the changes and the, just totally grasping what was coming up, like they did in the last couple months. I mean, granted, the last one, it was a last-minute thing where they decided to change the patch they put in there.
Right.
They're in big trouble.
Yeah. I just can't see them.
Because your tanks Gamsu can only carry them so far.
Right. And also, I think the biggest thing is just the formatting in general. If they can't come in strong and they can't make the adjustments that they need to make right away, then they could be sunk right off the bat.
And especially with a team like Philly that they're playing, who
thrives in that.
Yeah, they love playing in the pressure, and they're no joke. They have time to prepare too. But anyway, we'll get like I said before, we'll get into the matchup thing. But Boston's really intriguing in the fact that you don't know, are they going to come out like they did in stage 4, or are they going to be like they were in stage 3?
Yeah.
The map pool for them, it's kind of odd. There's actually more maps they can run dive on.
Yeah.
Which kind of works a little bit in their favor. Especially Eichenwald is one where they can do some stuff past point A.
And that is a map, even though it was stage 1 and they were a different team at that point, that is one of their highest win rates.
Yeah.
I think they had an 80 or 90% win rate on that.
They might have lost once.
Yeah. So that's pretty big for them, and that's a big advantage that they have. Will they be able to do that again? I don't know, just because they really relied a lot on that player's ability to play Pharah.
Yeah. And another thing that works against them is the 2 CP maps are not their best.
No.
They are terrible on Hanamura, and they're about just as bad on Volskaya since with changes and things like that.
Now, in the first round, they do have a slight advantage because while they've not been great on most of these maps, every single map, it seems like, has been the worst possible map that Philly could play. Yeah. So
they got a little bit of advantage there, yeah.
They do have that advantage.
But Philadelphia had to look at this going, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. We'll get more into that on the next episode. Yeah, that's definitely something to consider. So yeah, I mean, Boston, they're kind of a wild card in this playoff.
Yeah. It's not because the Gladiators are solid. New York's solid. The Valiant are solid. Them and Philadelphia. London is another one. The other 3 teams are kind of what are we going to get?
Right. Yeah, which team is going to show up when it comes to London, when it comes to Philly, when it comes to Boston. Yeah. You don't really know anymore.
Yeah, because London, since the end of stage 3 or stage 2, they have a losing record.
Right. So yeah, that actually is a good. Let's jump into London.
Yeah, let's talk about London.
Which team is going to show up?
Yeah, stage 1 and 2 or stage 3 and 4.
Right.
Because they built a lot of their map differential, their wins, and all that stuff on pretty much cleaning house in the first two stages.
Yeah. They
had things going, and then they started screwing out lineups, and they got rid of their coach, and it hasn't been working.
Yeah. I feel like even with the changes, they started to look a little bit better in stage 4, but then they kind of reverted back to some of the things that they were doing in stage 3 where they look really bad. It's definitely worrisome. I don't know how to feel about London at this point, because they have the talent and the potential to be a team that could win it all.
Yeah,
honestly,
they could steamroll the whole thing. But where are they at?
Right.
I mean, there's another team that maybe a couple weeks rest kind of did them good.
Right.
Because I'm sure everybody went home for a while, like you were saying with Boston. Just kind of chill and then get back into the grind.
Right.
On paper, they're as good as New York.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got Birdring, Prophet, Gesture, Badosin. I mean, that's an all-star team.
Right.
And, they're the 5th seed.
Yeah.
So it's just weird what was going on. They could have been tired. They could have been, I know there was guys with injuries and all that stuff. Hopefully they all got healed up, because I want to see them,
right. If they lose, I don't want it to be because somebody's injured or something. I want everyone to be at full health, and then if they lose, it's because shit just went wrong.
Yeah.
Instead of they weren't at full strength, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, any of that stuff, because they have the lineup they kept the lineup that was the one that got into the championship in the first stage.
Right.
So you got Gesture, Fury, Badosin, Nuss, and Closer, and then Prophet and Birdring. Birdring is we were talking about in stage 4. He's the key.
He really is,
especially with the amount of Widowmaker that's being played and all that.
Yes.
He has got to be on.
Right. And that's absolutely the key. And I feel like he is 100%. If he's on point, then I feel like London could really make a deep run in these playoffs.
And, the first match is going to be the big test right there. We're going to see what happens for a 4-5 matchup like that.
Right. Right. They're probably going to be the most intriguing. Either one of these teams is going to be the potential to really go the farthest from the teams that aren't the top 2.
Yeah, they're the potential giant killers in this. The Gladiators and the Spitfire. All right, guys. So that's going to do it for part 1 of our playoff preview. Don't forget to hit a subscribe. Thanks for all of your support. We're back. We're going to keep going. We just need to take a little break, as I'm sure all you guys did. Starting season 11 now for if you're into playing comp. So get on that for this week. Check out our videos, and
if you're playing on PC, check out the PTR. Check out Hammond and the chaos he is going to be introducing into the game and the fun.
Next season, just remember this term: triple dive tanks.
Yep.
Just remember that, because you're going to see it a lot. Anyway, all you guys have a great day, and then we'll come back at you with the rest of the teams and a little bit more news if we have anything come up. And then we'll talk to you guys later.
See you guys in the next one. Later.